Hello and welcome to this training on EdPuzzle. The purpose of this video is to talk specifically to teachers about how to utilize EdPuzzle in order to construct lessons for the purpose of instruction. So let's get started. Here's a brief overview of the next few slides. I'm going to talk to you about how to create an assignment directly from YouTube or to choose from content, how to modify an existing video, how to create your own, or how to share with colleagues. So this specific resource, I will tuck the link down below, and you have the ability to access this from the Chrome web store. This is called an extension. And by inserting this extension into Google Chrome, you have the ability to have this button show up every time you're watching a YouTube video. So if you're doing research and you want to find specific videos for your students on how to construct an essay, how to construct an introduction, or intermolecular hydrogen bonding, or whatever, whenever you're on a specific video inside YouTube, this button will appear underneath that video at all times. And you can instantly click that button and then go straight to EdPuzzle to modify this specific video for an assignment. It is a very efficient tool. Now, let's pretend that you want to modify an existing video. Down on the bottom left-hand side, when you're signed into YouTube in your teacher account, you will notice that there are several resources where you can pull videos in order to provide that content to your students. By utilizing that filtering on the left-hand side, you can find specific content that's ready to go. When you click on any one of those videos, you can then utilize that video, make any adjustments, and then share that with your students. After clicking on a specific video, this menu will appear on the right-hand side. You can edit, copy, assign, or share. By editing a video, you have the ability to trim that video. Let's pretend that it's a 12-minute video. In my opinion, a 12-minute video might be a little bit too large for a specific lesson. Not necessarily, but do understand that it could take your students another 12 to 15 minutes in order to answer all of the questions. So just factor in all of the time that it will take for them to answer the questions when you share that assignment with them. So you can trim it if you need to. You can apply voiceover to some videos, but not all videos. You can design your own questions or use the questions that somebody else has designed. You can copy that content to your own content, assign it immediately, or you can share with colleagues. If you choose to modify an existing video, then you would make the edits, and then these options would appear. Up at the top, it says cut, voiceover, and questions, and you have the ability to use those 3 independent regions in order to make changes to any specific video. Not all videos will give you the ability to apply voiceover, but some videos will allow you to erase the current audio and supply your own audio on top of that. Likewise, you can either use existing questions or apply your own. So this is what it looks like if you are in a video that already has questions embedded into it. The little dots along the timeline on the bottom of the screen indicate when a question appears throughout the course of that video. Over on the right-hand side, you have time markers identifying exactly when those show up in the video, and it specifically lets you know the type of question that has been designed for this resource. On the right-hand side, I have stopped strategically on one of those questions to see exactly what that question is. As long as I have a copy of this video inside my EdPuzzle account, I have the ability to modify this specific question. However, at the very first stage, I may just want to review all those questions to see if I like it the way that it is. Why change it if it's already fantastic? You can do either of those things. You can leave it the way that it is or change it if you need to. So, in order to make those modifications, you would choose copy on the bottom right because you would want to make an independent copy where you have the ability to make edits. This is what it looks like when you want to make adjustments to any questions. You either want to add questions because there are none, or you want to modify questions so that you can apply your own strategies to that specific lesson. And you'll notice on the right-hand side that it gives you options. You can put multiple choice questions in there, and those can be true, false. They can also be fill in the blank so that you can apply those. Multiple choice would be filling in the blank. True, false would be another option within the context of that multiple choice. You also have an open-ended question option where students would utilize their own thinking to respond. And that third item is a note. So if you feel as though the video has some points that you want to highlight, or if you feel that the video is deficient in some way, you can put some notes in there, or even a reminder, hey, this question is going to be on the test on Friday. You have those different options to apply to any video. And this is what it looks like if you choose to use the multiple choice question design feature. You have the ability to determine how many answer choices exist for this specific question. Down on the bottom, there's a plus symbol that says add another answer choice. And you also have the ability to drop pictures in here. So in a math question, if you need a symbol, if you need a picture, if you're working with science and you need a specific cellular model to appear, you also have the ability to drop pictures in either for the question or for the answer choices. It is also your job to make sure that you identify which answer is the correct answer, because you're also building the answer key at the same time. So please make sure that you are careful when it comes to determining the correct answer in this space. Once you have constructed your answer, your question rather, and your answer choices, and you have determined which answer is correct, you would then choose the Save button over here on the bottom right. In this specific area, I'm simply highlighting your progress. As you tuck specific questions into the video, not only will you see those bubbles appear at the bottom of the timeline, you will also see those questions populate on the left-hand side. Once you are finished with all of those revisions, edits, modifications, go ahead and choose the Finish button on the top right. In order to seamlessly search for content, you have a search box over on the top left. So if you want to search for topics related to digital citizenship, grit, determination, perseverance, animal intelligence, you can use this search box on the left in order to look for content. You also have the ability to search for content that's specific to your school site. EdPuzzle recognizes the school where you teach and recognizes that other accounts have been assigned to that site as well. So if there are other teachers on your campus who have designed material, as long as they've made that material public, then you can locate that material in this space. Over time, you will develop a library of content. There are two buttons, one on the top right and one on the top left, that will allow you to easily search from your content. In order to share material with colleagues, you actually need to click the Assign button in order to find where it says Public Links, and then where it says Public Links, that's where you would find a specific link that you can tuck into an email in order to share with colleagues. Here's the next portion of the video. Now that you have your material and it's ready to go, you might want to assign that to your class. So here are the 5 categories that I'm going to talk about in this section: sync with Google, locate video, dates, details, and post to Google Classroom. Over here on the top right, it says My Classes. When I click on My Classes, it will take me to this specific area. Over on the left, I will see all of the classes where I'm teaching or co-teaching. In EdPuzzle, you have the capacity to have more than one teacher accessing content. If you are co-teaching with another teacher, if you have a student teacher, or if you are using a deployment model where multiple teachers are co-teaching specific students, then multiple teachers have access to that pocket of students. Once you are in this area, you can find any pending assignments. You can also sync to Google Classroom for any class that isn't currently sitting in this area. For example, you have a brand new class this year, just make sure that you bring that new class in. Next, locate video from your content. Click the little box over on it's kind of like a midpoint. It's right underneath the picture. Make sure that you tick that little box. Once you've had a chance to tick that little box, then on the very bottom of the screen, you will have options. Choose the Assign option. After you have chosen the Assign option, make sure that you determine either the singular class or the multiple classes where you would like to assign that specific video. On the right-hand side, choose when you want that to populate and determine a due date. Under those two boxes, you will see these features. If you want to prevent the children from skipping particular sections of the video, make sure that you leave that in the toggled on position. If you want to provide students with closed captioning as an option, feel free to toggle that button on or off. Down at the bottom, in a muted gray fashion, it indicates the idea of assigning to Google Classroom. Mine is in a muted gray state because I have not selected a class on the left-hand side. Once I choose a class on the left-hand side, that particular feature will turn on so that I can assign to Google Classroom. It's easy to forget that button. Just pay attention to it before you officially assign this work to any given class. Down here on the bottom, my assign button is muted because I have not done any of those previous things. I have not selected a class on the left. I don't have a due date. I haven't made any of those feature adjustments on the right, so therefore it's muted. When you make those necessary adjustments, it will say assign. Also, you'll notice here on the bottom left that it says add new class. If the class you're looking for is not in this list, you can easily click that button to add another class. Now let's pretend that the assignment has already gone out. Let's pretend that it's beyond the due date. And now it's time for you to grade that work. This section is going to talk about how to grade student work. Over here on the top right where it says My Classes, you will return to this region in order to grade student work. After clicking on My Classes, choose the specific class on the left-hand side. After you've chosen the specific class on the left-hand side, come here specifically to that assignment that you would like to grade. After clicking on the specific assignment, you will see the status right here of that work. Let me also mention to you, if at any point you need to make adjustments to a pre-existing assignment, you can come here in order to make those adjustments. You can edit and then repost to Google Classroom. Again, in this specific region, it lets you know how many answers need to be graded. I have blocked out the names of the students, but normally the names of the students would show here, their progress, as well as other necessary answers to specific questions. So here I am, and I'm navigating through a specific question to see what the student answers are. On the right-hand side over here, there are some quick buttons that allow me to assign a grade quickly. You can easily run through and make strategic adjustments to 10 or 15% of those answers. And then in just a little while, I'll show you one specific button that allows you to quickly grade the other 85% if it was done correctly. After you've had a chance to make sure that all of those grades have been put into spot for the first question, feel free to navigate down to make sure that you're looking at each specific question. You have the ability to provide comments as necessary. If I were a classroom teacher right now with a full roster of students, there's no way I would go through and provide strategic comments for every student for every question. It's absolutely unreasonable. However, if there are strategic moments where you're like, you know what, this child could receive specific feedback on this particular item, feel free to drop those comments in there so that students have access to that direct feedback. This is where I mentioned that you can loop back and click this magic button, and then it's just going to instantly mark everything else correct. You do not have to mark 100% of them correct if 100% of them are correct. In my opinion, this magic button right here just goes through and does a splendid job of filling that content in for you so that you can move on quickly. Multiple choice questions are auto-graded for you. You also have the ability to click on individual students in order to get specific data related to how they responded. If you want to locate trends, you can locate trends in order to cycle back to reteach core content. In this region right here, you have the ability to determine how much each child watched. If they only watched a small portion of the video, half of the video, or the entire video, you have access to that information. Previously, EdPuzzle would let you know if students re-watched particular sections. I find that metadata like that is helpful so that you can see the learning strategies of specific students. If you feel as though any specific child has cheated, or any child needs to go back and redo something, you do have the ability over here on the right to click those three dots and then you can reset the child's progress and then have that child head back in order to redo the assignment if you feel that is necessary. This very next slide is going to talk to you about troubleshooting, because I did not answer every question that you are going to have in the context of working with EdPuzzle. On the right-hand side, over by your picture, if you have a picture, over here on the right-hand side where you see the question mark, if you click on that question mark, it's going to give you the most frequently asked questions. And then at the bottom of that, it's going to give you the option of clicking on the Help Center. And EdPuzzle has done a fantastic job of answering so many questions. So if you have a question, EdPuzzle's probably going to answer it for you in that space. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this tutorial, and have a great day.